Hello guys, welcome back to the channel with another video. It looks like Indiana Fever star Kelsey Mitchell has finally broken her silence about last night's game. But here's the kicker, she wasn't the only one. Caitlin Clark also had a few things to say. And when you put it all together, this story gets really interesting. For this one, we've got to head all the way up to Indy. Let's get it. Let's go. Now listen, I'm going to keep it real with you all. I've got some mixed feelings about that game. Do I feel like it was rigged? Honestly, yeah, in a way, it kind of was. I know some people weren't too happy with the comments I made about Coach Steph and the way she's running that defense, but I've got to go into it. Because the more I think about it, the more it just doesn't sit right with me. Look at all the injuries this year. It's mostly guards and small forwards going down. Not power forwards, not big centers, but the players who are being forced to overexert on defense night in and night out. That's not just bad luck. That's a pattern. Think about it this way. You don't see Steph Curry out here trying to lock up someone built like Dennis Rodman. That kind of mismatch is completely different. But that's exactly what we saw happening in this game, and nobody's really addressing it. Before we even get into what Kelsey Mitchell actually said, I just had to point that out. The way the Fever are being asked to guard players is raising red flags. Now, with that said, let's get into Kelsey's message and why Caitlin Clark decided she had to step with her own words. When you really look at the current situation and the stats, personally, I feel like Kelsey Mitchell was being pushed way too hard on defense. That's probably part of the reason why her body ended up shutting down the way it did. Because let's keep it real, that's ultimately what happened. Chloe Peterson actually reported this last night, and we need to break it down right now. A lot of people were saying, man, it really didn't look like anything major was wrong with Kelsey Mitchell. But that's just the surface. When you actually dig deeper, the picture looks very different, and that's why we need to talk about it. Chloe's report said Kelsey Mitchell suffered from rhabdomyolysis, a rare muscle injury, on Tuesday night. Treatment includes 4 fluids and physical therapy. According to the Cleveland Clinic, most people recover from rhabdo, but they can experience lingering muscle weakness for weeks. So, this is what Chloe Peterson tweeted out just moments ago. And look, I know a lot of people had strong reactions to the whole Kelsey Mitchell situation. Even myself. I'll be real with you. After I dropped that Kelsey Mitchell video last night, I didn't even come back on. I just wasn't in the mood. Honestly, I wasn't even in the mood to talk Indiana Fever basketball because there are just too many moving pieces to this season. Too many factors in why they ended up losing. Of course, you could sit here and say it was a refs. You could blame this or that. But here's my stance. Had they had Caitlin Clark, they would have won it all. I'm standing on that. I truly believe that if Caitlin Clark were on the court, they would have beaten Minnesota, Phoenix, and even Las Vegas. In fact, I think they would have dominated Las Vegas. At best, Vegas might have managed to sneak out one win. But that series would have been wrapped up last Saturday. No doubt in my mind. If Caitlin had been there, the Fever would have been the first team to clinch. Easy. Now, Kelsey shared a message with the fans. Here's what she said to the Fever community and the fans of Kel's Hoop. Me letting you all know about my health is just me showing love and respect to those who've shown it to me. I suffered from something called rhabdomyolysis last night. My muscles stopped producing and hit their maximum capacity. I went into a state of numbness, a paralyzing feeling where I couldn't move my lower extremities for about 5 to 7 seconds. Because my muscles stopped producing positive blood to my bloodstream, my body locked up physically. From there, fatigue and cramping set in. It sucked. I panicked because I started to think the worst when I felt like I couldn't move my legs. It was an out-of-body experience, and I thank God for covering me in a moment like that. Today, October 1st, I am walking and moving at a slow pace, but I will be fine very soon. I want to thank the Fever medical team, the Vegas medical staff, and the hospital team for keeping me safe. In other words, I literally played until my wheels fell off. LOL. Thank you all for the prayers, love, respect, and support throughout this. If you're rolling with me through this journey, I love you. I'm out. Now, let me say this. I know I've had a lot to say about Kelsey Mitchell at certain points this season, But let me be clear, I'm just doing my job as a sports analyst. That's what I do. I break things down, I share opinions, and sometimes those opinions might sound tough, but I've got no ill will, no bad feelings toward Kelsey personally. If she or her people took it the wrong way, I sincerely apologize. At the end of the day, I'm wishing her nothing but the best as she recovers. I'm praying for her. May God cover her with love, strength, and healing. And for everyone watching, I hope you send nothing but love toward Kelsey and her family right now. Because here's the truth. I know people feel a certain way about family, about decisions, and about what's been said online. But at the end of the day, we all have jobs. We all have opinions as fans, as media, as analysts. But when the game ends and the lights go off, Kelsey is still somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, somebody's aunt, somebody's loved one. She's more than just a basketball player. For me personally, I just want Kelsey to hear nothing but the best. Health, peace, recovery, and success moving forward. And that's where you have to start looking at the front office, right? Because Skip Bayless actually said something earlier that really stuck with me. He said, if Caitlin Clark had been out since July 15th, but came back for playoffs, the Fever would be in the finals right now. And honestly, I've got to agree. Not only would they be in the finals, I believe they would have won the whole damn thing. No question in my mind. And that brings me right back to the front office. Because God forbid Caitlin Clark ever has to go through something like this again. Imagine Caitlin Clark finishing her career without ever winning a ring. Imagine her ending up like Charles Barkley, Carmelo Anthony, or Allen Iverson. Legends, all-time greats, but none of them ever got that championship. Let's be real, this isn't on Caitlin. She had no control over whether she could play or not. That decision fell in the front office, and it was a terrible one. Caitlin hasn't been hurt since July 15th. Just like Skip said, there is no way she was still dealing with that groin injury. No way. She was ready. She was good to play. I don't care what anybody says. What the Fever did was choose longevity over championships. And that, my friends, is selfish. Straight up selfish. 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 Let me re-emphasize this point. Caitlin Clark has not won at the highest level yet. She didn't win a national championship in college. She didn't win one in high school. And now here she is in the pros, still without a championship. And again, this isn't on her. This is on that front office. Plain and simple. Tyrese Halliburton nailed it when he said what he said about Caitlin Clark. Ryan Rico said Caitlin helped put a magnifying glass on the league because she showcased the foul inconsistencies to a much larger audience. He also added that the league should take stronger steps toward training officials and setting the standard for physicality early in games.
And this is an area where I think, Caitlin in so many ways has been a magnifying glass for different things that go on in this league, right? And in this sport, and I think a wonderful way. And I think we've seen a lot of fans be introduced to the league and they're watching and they're like, wait, what? You can get away with what? And I think, now, you have kind of a broader understanding of what's gone on when it comes to, just off-ball contact. So if I was just going to take one thing right away, to me, there's a lot of like two hands, like on people just really stopping their movement, off the ball that I don't think is conducive to, showcasing the skill and the talent. So that would be my first thing. And then, I also think there probably has to be a conversation about, how do you invest in and develop the, best officials in the world? How do you make sure, your rules beyond just that movement, although I think like that emphasis on freedom of movement would do a lot. How do you make sure that everything is kind of showcasing the best skill? Because to your point about the college game, you adapt, right? You have those rules, that's going to make you play a certain way, right? So if in game, 1 through 5, every time, Kelsey Mitchell's running off a screen or Jackie Young is, or, Kelsey Plum or name your player, they're getting touched and whistle, well,
He's not
probably
doing
this, I can't do this anymore,
Exactly.
So I think that, but I do think that like there has to be, or there, in my opinion, there should be some, just some acknowledgement of like, okay, maybe this has been allowed in a way that isn't going to be, best for the sport moving forward.
Right.